Many are the myths behind Viking heroes. One of them is about famous Danish and Swedish ruler Ragnar Lothbrok and his sons. Ragnar was the greatest warrior ever seen in the land. He was of great size, handsome in appearance, generous to his men, and fierce to his enemies. But when his sons grew up, everyone was telling how great they were, how no one was their equal, and no one was as famous as they. Thus, Ragnar thought about how he might seek for fame that would be no less fleeting, and decided to conquer England with only 2 big ships. The king who ruled over England was named Ella. He had received the news of war and had prepared for battle. Ragnar had much smaller forces, and it didn't take long before all his men fell and he was taken prisoner. Ella knew about Ragnar's sons and had no intention in becoming their enemy, so he thought wise to cast his prisoner in a snake pit until he would tell him who he was. But in the end, Ragnar died bitten by serpents, and he never revealed who he really was until his final breaths. King Ella, after realizing what he had just caused, decided to send some men to talk and carefully observe how each of the brothers reacted to the news of the fall of their father. When the messengers arrived in Denmark, the sons of Ragnar had just been feasted in the king's hall. Ivar was sitting on the high seat. Sigurd and Hvitserk were playing a board game, and Björn was planing a spear shaft on the floor. The messengers addressed Ivar respectfully and told him the news about Ragnar. Hvitserk and Sigurd dropped their game pieces and attentively observed the report of this news. Björn stood up on the hall floor and propped himself up with his spear shaft. But Ivar, he asked about every detail of his death. When the messengers finished their story, Björn shook the spear point apart so that it split into 2 pieces. Hvitserk grabbed a game piece and squeezed it so hard that blood spurted from under every nail. Sigurd had held a knife and was paring down his nails when these tidings were told, and he didn't realize that the knife was sticking in the bone. And Ivar was so enraged that his skin was all swollen from savagery in his breast. The brothers secretly gathered an overwhelming force and set their ships' courses for England, sailing both by night and by day, for they wanted as little news of their coming as possible to go before them. When King Ella was told the news of war, he summoned all the men he could. And where the armies met each other, there was a great battle. The sons of Ragnar were so enraged that they only thought of doing as much damage as possible. In the end, Ella was taken prisoner. Ivar and his brothers, remembering how their father was tortured, had an eagle carved on Ella's back. Then, they had his ribs severed from the backbone with a sword and pulled out his lungs. Ragnar was finally avenged.